My name's Dave Meltzer, and I thought, since most of you don't know who the hell I am, I'd give you a little bit of background. I've had a pretty interesting life. I made this up because I believe empowerment is one of the critical issues, not only in business, but in life. Obviously, if you are parents, you feel the same way. There's a trend of entitlement that goes on. And I'm kind of an expert in empowerment, not just because I live an empowered life, but probably because of my entitlement story. I was born with a single mom and 6 kids, 5 boys and a girl. And in my family, I'm the low end of the gene pool, at least academically. Academically, my siblings all went to Harvard, Penn, Columbia. My mom was an educator and did a great job in utilizing Jewish guilt to get all of them to study hard, and they're very smart. But we grew up with nothing. And I started my life off not really wanting to do as well as them in school and go to Harvard, but simply I wanted to be rich. Anybody here want to be rich? There we go. I really wanted to be rich because every time something was wrong in my house, when I saw my mom cry, it was because we didn't have enough money for the car to be fixed or the dishwasher or to send me to summer camp or baseball camp or whatever else it was. So I decided that my mission in life should be to be rich. Therefore, I'd be happy and my family would be happy. I used to look at some entitled kids that lived on top of the hill. Their parents were doctors, lawyers, successful businessmen, and I nicknamed them skivers. Skivers is a term, it's a Scottish term, basically a couch potato. Entitled, I envision a kid sitting at home on his mom's couch, entitled to whatever he thinks he deserves. The truth is, I didn't think of the word skiver. It's rhymed with the whole driver thing, so I looked that up. I'm not that clever. Anyway, when I was growing up, I wanted to become rich by being a professional football player. Unfortunately for my siblings, I'm at the higher end of the gene pool in size, strength, and athleticism. And looks, at least we have. So they're not doing so well on that side of things. But I wanted to play college football and professional football, so I worked really, really hard. And I ended up playing college football and baseball. I went to an unbelievable university to play football, Occidental College. Most of you may not know it. Plays Obama and a few others, but it's literally the only school that would let me play football. But they let me play football. And I went to college just in case to be a doctor as well. My oldest sibling was in med school, and I thought, gosh, if I'm not good enough to be a professional football player, I'll go on to med school. And so I went as pre-med, full scholarship to college. The interesting thing was, for the very first day that I got to college to play football, I realized that I wasn't going to play professional football. The reason was, our running back at the time was a kid named Vance Mueller. He was a senior. I was a 147-pound freshman. And he used to run me over every day. So I would call my mom and say, hey, I think I misevaluated my talent, because if this is Division III football, imagine what professional football would be like. And then moved on to my first game in college, and I played against a guy named Christian Okoye, who my very first game decided to put his size 13 foot right here for the rest of his life. So I decided I'd start studying a little harder. I went over to UCLA at the end of the season to visit my brother who was doing his residency, and he was in the hospital. And I walked in and told my brother, oh, man, I hate hospitals. He almost fell over. He goes, hey, you're pre-med at Occidental. You hate hospitals? You want to be a doctor? I said, yeah, I don't want to be a hospital doctor. I want to be a pediatrician. I want to live in the neighborhood, have a really cute nurse, and my family right by. I don't want to be a hospital. This place sucks. Well, the reason I tell you that story is that so many times in your life, we think what we want, but we are not more interested than interesting. We don't actually ever go to the second step and ask other people what it takes, or do research and Google whatever we need. So many times in our life. In fact, when I ran Lee Steinberg, and a lot of you may not know that name, but we co-produced the movie Jerry Maguire about Lee and our firm when I ran it. But people would come up to me all the time at these big events and say, oh, Mr. Steinberg, I know everything about you. Oh, except for Lee's like 23 years older than I, blue eyes, much taller. People are not more interested than interesting. After college, because I didn't like hospitals, I decided I'd do the next best thing, like any other Jewish kid, I'd become a lawyer. So, my mom has one talent, it's called Jewish guilt, and she could use it, trust me. So I went to law school. I went down to Tulane University to study law because they both taught common and civil law, and I thought I'd either be an oil and gas lawyer, a sports agent, or some sort of litigator. Did very well in law school, and when I was graduating, I got 2 job offers. One was to be a DA in New Jersey and get my litigation skills. I think it paid about $30,000 at the time. The other was a legal publisher called West Publishing, was putting their books with a complete monopoly of all the codes and statutes and case law in America. They were putting them online. And so I went, of course, to my master, my mother, who I owe everything to, and I said, Mom, what should I do? Should I be this DA and get my litigation, or should I sell legal research online? And my mom said, Dave, you should be a real lawyer. This internet thing is a fad. This was the very first time I ever did not listen to my mother. And I learned a second valuable lesson beyond being more interested than interesting. I learned that just because somebody loves you, probably too much, if any of you are Jewish mothers, please take the hint. Even if you are loved too much, that doesn't mean the advice that you're given is good. Because the people that give you advice only know what they know. And we fall into a terrible trap a lot of times at work and at home. Just because people care about us, we take their advice without understanding what situational knowledge or experience they have. And so I decided that I'd take this internet thing for a chance. Within 9 months, I bought my mom a house, I bought my mom a car, and I paid off my law loans and was a millionaire. That made me happy. And I continued my success. Thomson Reuters bought out our company for $3.5 billion in the early 90s. Now, $1 billion was a lot of money. There wasn't many billionaires in the world. And so I became a multi-millionaire and youngest executive of Thomson, and then went on to work for Accenture, who was originally Henderson Consulting, who did our M&A deal. And then Accenture hired me to be a director of a $169 million startup in the Silicon Valley. And at 32 years old, Samsung hired me as their CEO for the world's first smartphone. It wasn't that smart, so they called it the convergence device. It was a Windows CE device with a Bluetooth stylus. And I was the CEO of that company. We became the second largest manufacturers of phones in the world, and I retired in my 30s. So as I look at my empowerment analysis, I went from being a striver to a driver to a thriver. And then I became an arriver. I actually retired, which was the dumbest thing I ever did. I retired and entitled myself. I started surrounding myself with the wrong people and the wrong ideas. My mom used to always tell me, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Well, she manifested my future because I started surrounding myself with the wrong friends, hanging out in the wrong places. I was consulting around the world, pretending like I was working, buying homes and golf courses and a variety of different things. And sooner or later, just like the athletes that I represent, I self-sabotaged myself into the diamond. And I lost everything. On paper, I was worth over $100 million. My golf course alone was worth $120 million. It was the only design course ever by Sam Snead in Virginia, the 8th best new golf course in the country, and I managed to lose it all. So I had a decision to make. As I came home and heard my wife, I lived in Rancho Santa Fe in California, beautiful 6-car garage with a hacienda right in the front, and I came home and walked in the house, and my wife, who I've known since the 4th grade, she hated me then, and at this time she hated me again. It's amazing how good looking I got when I started making money, because this girl wanted nothing to do with me. But that's why I'm so surprised he stayed with me when I lost all the money. But anyway, I came home and heard my wife talking to her uncle, and she was in tears, and she said, I don't know if David can take us out of this one. We had lawsuits, and my ego was way, and probably abusing, if not using, drugs and alcohol in the wrong way. I was awful. And yet, I'm talking to her uncle and saying, I'm not sure he's going to pull us out, I don't know what to do. And for the first time, she didn't believe in me. Now her uncle which inspired me, turned to her and said, "Don't worry." He said, "I've known this kid since he's been 10 years old, and everything always has gone his way. I can't wait to see what he can do when his back's against the wall." On the next day, my wife woke up and said to me, "I'm not happy." Right? I'm not happy. And I was, at that point, completely oblivious to the problems that I was causing. She wasn't. And she said, "Here's the things that you're doing. You're not the person I married. I suggest you go back and outline who you were. You better start living that way, or me and your beautiful 3 daughters, we're not going to be living with you." So I literally was dumbfounded. I looked around like the arrogant asshole I was, going, "What is she talking about? We have a Ferrari, a Porsche, a beautiful home, 3 beautiful kids, millions of dollars. What is she talking about? This good-looking guy, right? What could it be?" So I went and I outlined who I used to be. And I decided that I was going to revive my life. Well, one of the things that I noticed before I retired was I lived by this equation called the power of 64. I believed that I wasn't that talented or smart, but one thing I could do without working. And so I aligned what I was doing to be successful with what I called the power of 64. I said, most people work 8 hours a day. I'm going to work twice as many hours. I'm going to work 16 hours a day. And I'm going to stay focused so that I'm twice as efficient with those hours, which will make the production of my 16 hours 32 hours a day. And then I'm going to look and use strategy and other things to be statistically successful at those 32 hours, twice as much, so that I will be 64 hours of production a day. Therefore, every 10 years that I work is like 80 years. And I started realizing that I could beat people with time. And I surrounded myself with the right people and the right ideas. And they had the same interest in time. They utilized their time in the same way. And it really interested me and excited me to make sure every day that I utilized time correctly. There was one problem. As I've evolved in all these books, I started realizing that just because you work 16 hours a day doesn't mean that you're manifesting what you want. It doesn't mean you're utilizing the power of intention or focus on what you want. In fact, especially with the technologies and games on your computer and your phones and your pads, we can sit there for 20 hours a day and absolutely have no production at all. So I had to figure out, I knew that efficiency was important as a variable, and I knew that statistical success was important, but I wasn't convinced anymore that it was a matter of just spending time. So I started thinking about what's the true problem. And it really came down to, what do I want? Who here wants a Ferrari? Anyone? Anyone want a big house? No mortgage? Want healthy children? Kids in college? Scholarships behind it? Who here wants to be happy? Yeah, I speak in front of thousands of people, and we all forget that last question. Right? We get so caught up in our lives, we forget that question. What is our mission? And I started pragmatically looking at what I wanted, because I realized that in order to be happy, it was a matter of getting what I wanted. And I'm very pragmatic in the fact that I believe 90% of all the things we want on earth can be bought, 90% of them, by better education, better health, better experiences. You can buy friends, you can buy houses, cars, all types of cool stuff. But the 10% that you can't buy is the truth. You can't buy the truth. So I had to focus in on my truthful mission of being happy, and how many minutes of a day am I going to apply to what I want? How many minutes? So if I put it into what I call my mission equation, I decided if X is what I want, it would be Y over 60 minutes over 24 hours. Now the interesting thing about 24 hours is people tell me all the time, "Oh Dave, I know you're really busy. I know you're really busy." Well, the truth is, we all are very busy because we all have 24 hours. The truth is, if we want to see the perception of time and utilize and beat people with time, it's what we do with our 24 hours. Whether you're sleeping, daydreaming, focusing, having negative thoughts, whatever it is, these are the things that we all have a common denominator of 24 hours. And so we need to focus in on why, and why equals the number of minutes that I'm effective, efficient, and statistically successful today. And every day is essential. What does that mean, every day is essential? I have a saying, I started meditating later on in life. And I learned that 2 minutes of meditation was worth more than an hour of minutes of meditation a day is worth more than an hour a week. I couldn't really get a handle on why that would be, and then until I equated it to sports, and I started thinking about golf. If I practiced golf 30 minutes a day, every day, it would be far more valuable than playing a 5-hour round of golf at the end of the week. And the reason is that it's not just the power of intention, it's not just the focus, it's not just your conscious, subconscious, and unconscious mind. It's actually a biochemical reaction within your brain that creates maps and tunnels for you so that things are more effective, efficient, and statistically successful. We actually, when we practice things, and there's plenty of documentation, we're creating our own success by doing things every day. So why is very important to having and attracting what we want rapidly and accurately. Now, how do we get why? It's all in the way that we think. I believe that we can do anything we want. That the minute we think about something consciously, it becomes a possibility. Everybody understand that? A mathematical possibility the minute you think about what you want. Already giving you a statistical success over others that don't think about what they want. 2, probability becomes when we become inspired. The minute we're in spirit, the minute we feel good, the minute we are with God, Buddha, John, Jesus, Muhammad, Joseph Smith, whatever you believe in, the 12th man for you football fans we just started, if that's what inspires you, if you're in spirit and feel good, your possibility instantly becomes a probability. A mathematical improvement just by the way we see things in perspective. And then, if we do things and take action, those probabilities become your perspective and your reality. So when I went and outlined my life, I outlined it with 3 imagination principles, ways that I was going to think, and 3 action principles, the way that we're going to act. Right? I was always on the action side of my life. I was never on the woo-woo spiritual side. I believe that everything that I got, I controlled, and I made it happen. So I started by saying, the first thing when I have an idea of what I want, I need to run it through my foundation principles. And that includes 4 things. My personal values, my experiential values, my giving values, and receiving values. Now, if I'd ask all of you, if you were to bankrupt one of those values that you have, would you bankrupt your health, your integrity, your education, your character? No. Would you bankrupt all the experiences you have, all the situational knowledge, academic enlightenment, relationship capital, and intelligence, emotional intelligence that you have? No. Would you bankrupt your legacy and everything that you've done for other people and given to other people? No. Although 90% of our time, at least, is spent acquiring the financial or the receiving values that we have. And we all would bankrupt it in a minute to keep those other 3. So when I look at something like having a Ferrari, I'll ask myself, how does this align with my personal, experiential, giving, and receiving values? Well, when I started thinking about having a Ferrari, I was young. So I thought that all the guys would think I was cool, people would think I was successful, it'd be incredibly fun to own, women would love me. Well, now that I run it through my value system, I know that if it breaks down, it costs too much, right? And if you drive it too much, it breaks down, and if you don't drive it enough, it breaks down. Most people think you're an asshole if you own a Ferrari. They're a pain in the butt to drive, and to park, and to worry about. And worst of all, what I found out was most women already knew what my anatomy was like right when I pulled up. I'm going to step down here now. Yeah, so you can see how important it is that we not only think about what we want, but we think about it in a certain way aligned with our values. Then once we decide on what that is we want aligned with our values, we use guideposts or focus so that our minutes spent on why are even more efficient and statistically successful. So guideposts are, I want clarity about what I want. I want to balance my values and make sure they're fine. And I want to focus in on what I want every day until I feel confident. What I consider confidence, anybody here play sports ever? I know, I would say round is a shape. I would keep my workouts, but I still play sports. And has anyone ever been in the zone? I know we wouldn't. But when you're playing sports, there's this time when you throw anything up and it goes in the hole. You know, anyone that's played golf, I putted it in my head and said, oh shit, and then it's right in the hole. That's the zone. Well, I believe that confidence is the way that we live our life in the zone. It's an energy that we carry. It's everything's going our way. We attract what we want rapidly and accurately. We have to stay focused on the fact that what we want, aligned with our values, are coming to us confidently. We feel good about them. Because then we can go to the third, which is manifestation. And manifestation is the difficult one for me, because number one, the word manifestation takes me all the way back to that high kid on his mom's couch, you know, pretending like he had a Ferrari and thinking someone's going to drive in the driveway and give him a Ferrari, or the Publishers Clearinghouse will come and hand him $1 million check. No, I was a bull in a china shop. I went out and I made things happen. I used all my free will. To make things happen. Then I learned about manifestation. I learned about, what if I took all that same energy, don't sit at home high on your mom's couch, but use all of your free will to connect to what inspires you, or what I call goodness. God, Jesus, Muhammad, Joseph Smith, 12th man, I don't care. What if I use all of my energy to focus in on connecting to what inspired me, trusting the universe, and allowing it to happen? Not getting in my own way with my ego. Not having the need to be right, the need to be offended, the need to be separate, inferior, or superior. What if I took all of that energy that I wasted? Has anyone here ever had an argument about being right? Imagine if we had all that time back. I mean, that was one of the first things that helped my marriage, is I decided that I would not be right again. Or offended. How could we spend being offended? If you look to be offended, I promise you'll get exactly what you're looking for, no matter where you go. Use your free will. Use your free will to allow everything to happen, and it will come rapidly and accurately. What you resist persists. And when we try to make things happen, we are creating resistance. We're creating voids, shortages, and obstacles in our way, so we can then work harder to overcome them. So now I started looking at discipline on the action side, right? I'm inspired, now I have to take action. Discipline's great because I think we're an accumulation of our effective habits. And I used to think effective habits were directly correlated to desire. But it's a lot more than desire. It's the integration of desire, skills, and knowledge. We need all three. We need all three in order to create a collective or an effective habit. Now, the number one piece of advice I can give everyone here today, and the best habit that I guarantee will change your life, is I need everyone, if you're willing to say thank you before you go to bed, or think it. Or say thank you when you wake up, or think it. Who here thinks they can say or think thank you before they go to bed or when they wake up every morning for 30 straight days? Who here believes me that will absolutely change your life? So the interesting thing is I have thousands of emails of proof that this is the easiest way. I've spent 10 years doing research, physics, metaphysics, quantum physics, and trying to figure out what's the fastest and easiest way that I can empower other people to be happy. Create a collective belief that life is not that hard and that you can have everything that you want. And it's out of gratitude. It vibrates closest to the truth. The truth vibrates the fastest. If anyone understands vibration, minerals vibrate the slowest, then plants, then animals, then humans, then sound, then light, then thought. And the thought that vibrates the fastest is the truth. And if you want to attract the most things to you, you have to inspire yourself to live as close to the truth as you can. We're all not perfect, so it will be progress, not perfection. But we need the effective habit of gratitude. The saddest thing about effective habits is I can't think of an easier way to change your life. It doesn't cost you anything. It takes about 0.5 seconds each day. And it has incredible power because it vibrates so fast. But yet all of you subconsciously or consciously, believe me, half of you will not say thank you tonight. And in the morning, another half of you won't say thank you. And within 3 days, almost every one of you will stop saying thank you. That's how far we're in our own way. If you can't create effective habits as powerful as the truth of gratitude, of being thankful for what you have, if you can't even do that, how hard is it to eat right, to quit smoking, to quit drinking, to quit doing anything or create a habit that you want to, run every day, whatever it may be? Imagine how hard it is for us, for our ego to be that far in our own way. So we need to understand our discipline in order to take action in the correct way of efficiency and statistical success to manifest what we want. The next one is strategy. The one strategy that I have in action was to get out of my own way. Can you imagine? I built a golf course for $12 million. I got lucky enough to ask CMC to design it for me. I paid him. And then he died right after. Bad luck for him. Pretty good luck for me. The golf course went up to $120 million. And I decided in 2007, because I've been so wealthy and so successful at everything I did, that why should I ask anybody for help? Why should I call anybody else that's owned real estate or a golf course and say, hey, what should I do with this thing? So the genius that I was decided to leverage the shit out of it and buy a whole bunch of more real estate through 2007 and 2008. Exactly. Genius. Now you know I don't have to be right. But can you imagine? I didn't have one person I asked for help. So my strategy in life is to create situational knowledge. I always have 3 mentors in my life. 3 mentors. People who sit in a position that I want to sit in. So first, I wrote my first book, went to a bestseller. I went to the Napoleon Hill Foundation. Think and Grow Rich was my favorite book. I used to say, every time I read that book, I made another $1 million. In fact, it just asked me to be in the movie Think and Grow Rich. So I went to the Napoleon Hill Foundation and I said, I want to write a book like that. It's spiritual, but it's pragmatic. It's based on math, on physics. It tells people that, look, you can dream all you want, but you have to take action. And it also tells people, hey, you can work as hard as you want, but you have to dream. Can you help me? And they said, sure. And I wrote my first book, which became a bestseller. 2, I went to lunch with Steve Wynn. First time I ever met Mr. Wynn. Second question out of my mouth was, Mr. Wynn, can you help me? Sure, Dave. And he was a little taken back. I said, would you mind being my mentor? He said, what does that mean? I said, could you make yourself available to me by text, email, and phone? I'll be very concise, but I want to understand your relationship to money. I want to understand that, so if I have a quick question, a business decision to make, I'd love to be able to pass it by you. Does that sound fair? He said, absolutely. The last 7 years of my life, I could call, email, or text Steve Wynn and leverage a tremendous amount of dummy tax that he's paid. That I don't need to understand how to make $1 billion, not $100 million. And then lastly, my mentor is Warren Moon, my business partner and best friend. Now, I was talking to John Randall when I decided to do this, because I call Warren QB1 Kenobi. Because he is so cool, right? I'm a hyperactive, sometimes in my own way, more like a football coach, and he is the cool cucumber. Well, John Randall, who played for the Minnesota Vikings, he told me a story about how cool Warren was. He said when he played for the Vikings, we were losing 13-6, 3rd down and goal to go, 13 seconds left, and all of a sudden, Warren called a timeout. Danny Green went crazy like I would have. What's the matter? Holy shit, he doesn't have the play. Somebody get the play. Hey, what's the matter? What? Everyone's screaming on the sideline. Warren jogs over in his cool tiptoe jog, looks Danny right in the face. Warren, what's the matter? Warren says in the QB1 voice, do you have some chapstick? Chapstick! Get Warren some chapstick! Holy shit! The trainer's running around, they get him the chapstick, he takes it, takes the thing off, rubs it on his lips, looks at it, hands it back to Danny Green, says thank you, goes back in the huddle in the same cool way, calls the exact same play, touchdown. When I heard that story, I said, that is going to be me. I waste so much energy like Danny Green or like the trainer. I waste so much energy. Somebody comes to me, or there's a problem, and I waste all my energy running around screaming about the problem and worrying about what the answers are instead of staying cool and calm and realizing that I just have to figure out the most efficient, effective, and statistically successful way to solve it. And so Warren is my mentor. Key strategy for me. Finally, awareness. Awareness is about value. I used to spend my whole life making and taking value. And a lot of us do that. I had no trust in myself, because when I trust in myself, I trust in the universe, because we're one. I had no trust in myself, so I used to back-end sell, oversell, and I take from people value. And I promise value back. But what I started realizing, even with the best intention, is that when I took value, that I was human, which meant I'm not efficient, I'm not effective, and I'm not always statistically successful. So no matter how many times I tried, it was very rare that I truly exceeded expectations, even though I told people my objective always was to exceed expectations. So I shifted my paradigm of awareness, and I said, you know what, from now on, my focus is on the truth. It's on gratitude, it's on empathy, which is forgiveness, and trust me, you have to forgive yourself, because you can't get what you don't have, and I deserve a lot of forgiveness. Accountability, right? Accountability, you can't live in blame, shame, and justification. And finally, effective communication. I needed to shift the paradigm of value and say, my life is going to be living as close to the truth as possible. Every day I'm going to wake up and pray God puts 10 people in front of me that I can help. When I go into a business situation, I'm going to only talk about the value that I'm going to provide. Because if I do so, the void will be on the universe's side to fulfill, not mine. Because I studied math, science, physics, and metaphysics, and I know it's mathematically impossible for me to give out unconditional energy and for it not to come back at like speed with exactly what I desire. So I got out of my own way, I dropped my ego, I dropped my arrogance, and I started serving. And with that service came a tremendous amount of abundance. The money came to me faster than ever, and I kept giving it out to St. Jude's and Boys and Girls Club and to scholarships for kids and all of these other places. And my energies were spent empowering people. And it keeps coming more and more. In fact, I used to tell people, the more that I give, the more that I get. In fact, it comes about 10 times what I give comes back to me. And I started realizing it was not. It was equal to what I was putting out. It just comes so god darn efficiently, effectively, and statistically successful and exact, because the universe is so exact, it feels like 10 times more. And it feels so much better this time around to have all that abundance so that I can help other people. In fact, today, before I forget, I brought everybody a gift. Grab your pens real quick. This is a number to text. It's 2, 4, 5, 8, 7. I'll say that once again. And if anyone forgets, Bradley and Justin are in the back room. Raise your hand. They'll give you the number again. But it's 2, 4, 5, 8, 7. If you text that number and put my initials in the box as the message, DM, David Meltzer, so the initial DM, DM. I have brought everybody my books. I brought other gifts from other sponsors that we have. About $500 worth of stuff that you can recoup on your phone. Some of it is okay, and some of it's really good. I think there's still like a $50 gift certificate to Dawson and something like that. But I wanted to bring everyone a gift for coming. Now that we know how we determine why, that's how I determine how am I going to spend my minutes every day. I now have to look at the variables of how do I make it come to me rapidly and accurately. And there's 3 variables. A is not time anymore. A is that power of intention. It's focus. How focused can I stay for 2 minutes while I brush floss and take Listerine in the morning? Because that creates efficiency and success. I do it every day. If I can save 4 minutes a day by staying focused on brushing my teeth in the right way, I can save 28 minutes a week, which could be 2 hours a month, which could be 24 hours a year. I saved an entire day of my life, 24 hours, because I stayed focused on how I'm using my minutes. So A, in focus, that's the new variable. B is efficiency, C is statistical success. So what does that do mathematically? If I want to play golf, 1 hour a day, 60 over 60 is 1 times, if I'm twice as efficient, that 1 hour of day usage is now worth 2 hours of golf. And if I am efficient at it, it's worth 4 hours of golf. And if I'm statistically successful at it, it's worth 8 hours of golf. Now, it doesn't have to be times 2, right? We're all our own selves. It can be, am I 0.15 better at it, or 0.25? It also works in the inverse. So how do I get out of my own way? How do I get out of my own way? Knowing that I'm the constant. Right? I'm the constant to this equation. So if I do something that has a negative effect, I'm going to depreciate my value. I'm going to depreciate the value that I have. If something I do is a 0, either if I don't have any focus in on it, or any efficiency, or any statistical success, any of those variables equal 0, I'm going to have 0 result. And let me tell you why. And this will get a little bit of woo-woo. We have 3 ways that we determine things. 1 is our conscious mind. 2 is our subconscious beliefs. And 3 is our unconscious energy. We don't think about certain things, like gravity. It's an unconscious energy we carry. Who here, in their conscious mind of what they think, has chatter? Like a little voice in your head. Okay, now I know no one's listening because you all do. So thank you for waking up. And I'm sure the little voice in your head is as nice as the one in mine. And every day when I wake up, that little voice says, oh, don't worry, everything's going to be great. You're so handsome and smart and all the money in the world, and that 16-year-old daughter you have will be fine. Don't worry. No, we don't. But what I've been able to do is start with my conscious mind, utilizing this formula, and I cancel all my negative thoughts. At a conscious level, I'm training my brain to have no negative thoughts, because I know negative thoughts attract what? More negative thoughts. If you want a shortage in your life, focus on what you don't have, because you're going to have more of what you don't have, guaranteed, mathematically. I promise you. So I consciously started training my mind and saying, cancel. 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 Now sometimes, the negative idea just keeps coming back on me. Has anybody ever not been able to go to bed because that negative thought, you're like, oh, let it go, you moron, let it go, cancel. Right? Yeah. Or wake up in the morning, right? I've only slept 3 hours, oh my God. Right? Cancel. When cancel's not working, that's because you have a subconscious belief that's attracting these same negative thoughts. So what I do in that case is I clear my mind. I try just to clear my mind. I breathe through my nose, out through my mouth, continually, every day. This doesn't just happen once. This is every single day. Because it just dissipates, then diminishes, and then disappears. And all of a sudden, positive energy, you have more energy, you need less sleep, more things come to you faster and accurately. Pretty soon, you're relying on the fact that you know it's going to work out. And I've been around billionaires and the most successful athletes, entertainers, and businessmen in the world, and they all have that conscious and subconscious belief that it's all going to happen for them. And it's not an accident. Now, sometimes, and this gets really woo-woo, so don't do this in front of anyone else, but I'm going to tell you a story. Sometimes, and this may be a truth for you, we think a certain way, we believe a certain thing, but the same thing keeps happening again and again. Is it the universe testing me that I really believe? Is it God testing me, or whatever we come up with? You know, you have these guys and girls that work for me, and they change what they want from their partners, and they change what they believe they want from their partner, but every partner they get is the exact same guy or the exact same girl. Or in business, you get the exact same business deal, the exact same partner, the exact same associate, the exact same business problem. Even though I think all the time I don't want it, right, and I believe the right way, why is that? I'll tell you why. When I studied in India, energy, Dr. Sangeeta Sahi, the lady that trained me, she said to me something very interesting. She said, David, You carry an energy that you're stupid, and it's causing you all kinds of problems. And I said, Dr. Said, I said, I know I joke about my siblings being parent wet dreams and way smarter than I am, but I just have to tell you, I've been a millionaire now twice in my life. I go to really good schools compared to most people. I believe and I think that I'm very intelligent. She said, no. She goes, I know you think you're intelligent, and I know you believe you're intelligent, but you carry an energy that you're stupid, and it's causing you to project your arrogance, your insecurity. It's causing you worse to surround yourself with people less vibration than you that don't have the situational knowledge, so you feel good or superior about yourself by having people that don't know as much as you. Right? I've changed that. I always say, if I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room. Right? Before I had to be the smartest person in the room. I said, I don't understand what you're talking about. So we went back and did, different things. He said, part of it is your siblings from your entire life were highly academic. But it really stemmed from the fact that my mom got divorced when I was so little, 5 boys, 1 girl, that we had to stay with my grandmother, who was an academic genius. 4 feet 11 by 4 feet 11, man. You look like Yoda. So both my lives got Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda. But she, my siblings literally would, and they still do, they love to read, they love to study, and here I was, hyperactive. No one was prescribing Ritalin or Adderall, too bad. So I run around the block, probably a healthier solution. Anyway, she would say to me every day, I'd say, Grandma, Mammy, I'm so bored. She'd look at me and say, only stupid people get bored. Smart people think of things to do. Now, your energy, every day I was getting this feedback. I had these hyper-competitive siblings that were academic. I had teachers. I had a mom with all this Jewish guilt, and a grandma was calling me stupid and hurtfully. So I took on an energy of having to prove that I was smart. And I kept attracting the same things into my life. So how do you shift that energy? I'm going to teach you this. Don't do this in front of anyone. They make you make it. Okay. I'm serious. Okay. If someone would have told me 2 things 10 years ago. 1, that I stand in front of everybody and tell you I lost over $100 million. And 2, that I do this all the time, I would have probably shot myself. But this works. Changed my life. Because really, hang with me. So when I am most afraid of something, or I'm worried about something the most, or I hate something, right? Think of something horrible that you can't get rid of. And I said that at the University of Michigan one time. I swear to God, and this kid's like, well, my uncle. I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. So don't raise your hand and tell me what these horrible things are. Cancel. So what I do when I truly feel that energy, or I recognize a pattern in my life of what I don't want, and I'm conscious of it, I'm subconscious of it, but it keeps coming to me. The same bad luck, the same problem at home, the same business problem, whatever it may be, I close my eyes, and in my mind's eye, I picture what I hate the most, what I'm afraid of the most. And I picture it there, and I look for a light in it. Doesn't matter what color of light, I pick out that light, and I soon cover what I hate the most, and I'm afraid of the most, and bothers me the most, with all of that light. And it sits there in my mind's eye as a big ball of light now. And then in the same mind's eye, I look over here at what I love the most. Same mind's eye, could be my family, my beautiful daughters. I do have a 6-year-old son now. Best mistake of my life. It's wonderful. Bananas, Foster's cheesecake, whatever you like the most. But take the light from what scares you the most and put it over what you love the most until right in front of you in your mind's eye, you have one big ball of light. And as you see that light, whatever color it is, take it and cover yourself. Cover yourself with that light. Hold it there until you feel different. It won't take long. It takes me, my why is minutes a day. Minutes a day. That's all I spend on being grateful, empathetic, accountable, and effectively communicating by canceling and clearing and connecting to whatever inspires me. And every day my energy shifts. And what happened to me was as my energy shifts, and maybe it took, because I still do it, 9 years, things just come to me that I do want instead of things coming to me that I don't want. effortlessly. Effortlessly, because all my free will is in service. It's trying and striving to be truthful. And I'm not all the time. I'm human. I don't know what percentage that I am at 90% or 20%, but I know that my equation is more and more statistically every week, every month, and every year. I'm getting better at it. And the universe is rewarding me with one thing, what I want. It's rewarding me with a great family life. It's rewarding me with unbelievable health. It's rewarding me with an unbelievable business, with books and speaking and whatever else I want. Kids going to great schools on scholarship and healthy little 6-year-old boy who loves sports. Whatever I want, effortlessly. And it takes a combination of taking that possibility every day and dreaming about it in the right way, controlling your mind with cancel, clear, connect, and making sure our litmus test is inspiration, in spirit. And then the easy part is discipline, strategy, and awareness. Shift your paradigm, your free will. Allow things to happen by giving service and giving to others. Trust the universe. Because if you trust the universe, you trust yourself. Because you are part of the universe and everything is connected. I appreciate everybody's time. If you want, I'll be on the side for questions. The books and everything, I think they have stuff for you. I have cards. I'm just very grateful for the opportunity to share with you. Thank you.